Hello and greetings and welcome back to another weekly What I've Watched. Don't think with too much this week. I'm going to not put the clips in until I have sort of comments on my last video, which went up late, to find out whether you want the clips, whether you want me to leave them out. So let's just, no bells and whistles today again, just talk about what I've watched. So first of the week was the 19th and I watched a movie called Who Invited Them. This follows a couple called Adam and Margot who have moved into a very posh new house, very lovely house, and they're having a housewarming party and they've invited various friends, work colleagues to this party. But there is a couple at the party that they don't recognise. They don't know who they are. They're not sure. I think the woman thinks the man might know them, vice versa. But it turns out these individuals weren't actually invited. But they're the neighbours from next door. They came out, someone had blocked their car in, they came to ask them to move it, and they ended up staying. They wanted to look around. So this movie follows like that evening when everyone's gone home and the neighbour couple and the couple that were throwing the party spending the evening together, getting to know one another, and things do get a little bit dark. Now, I don't want to say any more. This is quite an awkward movie. It's quite a cringy movie. This couple very clearly are trying to turn the husband and wife against one another. I would say the ending, there is a twist in this movie, and that twist I felt was very predictable. I did predict it more or less right away. It was okay. I think, what did I give this? I gave it a 2.5 out of 5. I thought it was very predictable. I did feel the acting performances were all good. I just feel it's the kind of thing we've seen a lot before and we've seen it done better. I didn't feel nervous, trepidatious. I didn't feel anxious at any time, and I should have been feeling those thoughts. I felt, the main emotion I felt while I was watching this was mildly irritated. So I don't know if that is what they were going for, but that's what I was feeling. So that was Who Invited Them, 2.5 out of 5. What did we watch next, Lisa? Next we watched The Aviary. I'm going to have to look up what this is. I also give this a 2.5 out of 5. Right, okay, this follows two individual ladies in the desert. It says, a twisted journey of two women's desperate flee to escape the clutches of Skylight, an insidious cult. Lured in by the promise of freedom in the isolated desert campus called the Aviary, Gillian and Blair join forces to escape in hopes of real freedom. Consumed by fear and paranoia, they can't shake the feeling that they are being followed by the cult's leader. So I won't read any more of that. We follow these two ladies through the desert trying to escape from this place where they've been. It isn't what it seems. The two words that I would take away from that synopsis is fear and paranoia. Again, I did feel where we were going was a little bit obvious, but it was a bit convoluted. It's like, is this what they're trying to do? Is this where they're going to go? I felt the execution could have been a lot better. I do feel it was okay. I don't feel it was really bad. We have Lorenzo Izzo, Malin Ackerman, Chris Messina and Sadrine Holt in this, so a very small cast. The performances were spot on. I did like the performances. I just felt that it was aiming for something that it just didn't quite hit the mark with, so I give that one a 2.5 out of 5. Maybe I was feeling a bit fussy this week. What was next? Next was Krat. Now, I'm not going to talk in any length about this one because I reviewed this for Geek Legion of Doom. This is a very unusual folk fantasy comedy. I wouldn't use the word horror. It's very light in horror. It's probably suitable for kids. So children are left at Grandma's house without their smartphones. Real life seems rather boring until they find instructions for the Krat. This is Estonian, folks. A Krat is a magical creature who will do whatever its master says. All they have to do now is to buy a soul from the devil. So is what it says. I won't go into any more detail. It's very unusual. It's very different. I will link my review on Geek Legion of Doom for that one if you should like to check it out. That one I think is coming to streaming on the 1st of October to my memory. And thank you to Leo for asking me to review that one. Okay, so yesterday, the 25th, I finally, this is going to be so unpopular, I watched Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring. I'm determined to watch these movies again because I've just kicked my tripod. I'm not a massive fan. I don't dislike them, don't get me wrong, but you know the way people just adore them and fall in love with them? That hasn't happened for me, and I honestly, I couldn't remember if I'd seen this before. I know I've seen the third in the trilogy because it was myself and my husband's first cinema date and I fell asleep. I don't fall asleep in the cinema, but I fell asleep, so I haven't had the best relationship with Lord of the Rings, shall we say. So I actually had seen Fellowship of the Ring before, but I didn't remember anything about it. But when I went to log it on Letterboxd, it came up that I'd seen it before. So what I've written is to try and give you an idea. I did give it a 3.5 out of 5. I recognise it's extremely well made, it's beautiful, a bit too much whispering for my liking. The performances are gorgeous, it looks gorgeous, it's obviously a real world like Harry Potter, but I feel you really need to have seen the books to get the full benefit of this. I think there's way too much information left out for you to be getting the full. I think I read that there was a 4.5 hour version of this, and I think really I should be watching that. So I've said, as someone who hasn't read the books, I feel like a lot of the information has been removed for the movie. This is my second viewing and I still have so many questions. The 4-hour 30 cut of the movie is probably the one I need to see. There is just too much knowledge a casual viewer is not party to in order to fully enjoy this movie. So that's how I felt about it. I felt that I wanted to understand more, I wanted to know more, and from the little bit of reading that I did, it does seem an awful lot of exposition and explanation has been left out. And I really understand how people that have read the books just love these movies because they understand everything in the backstory and all of that, which I didn't. So I give it a 3.5 out of 5. And it's like Harry Potter, there's so much more in the books. And finally, now this one's listed on the 25th because I watched it over a few days. And lastly is the new it's not a documentary, it's the new series on Netflix, Dahmer Monster, the Jeffrey Dahmer story. Okay. I've just recorded a video today about a lady from this story called Glenda Cleveland that I really want people to know about. Even if they haven't watched this series or if they've no interest in watching this series, I would really encourage you to watch it, purely because people need to know this woman exists. I wasn't aware of her and everything she did until I saw this program. Now, I'm very aware with my interest in true crime of who Jeffrey Dahmer is, of what he did, of the people he did it, all of that stuff. We're not going to talk about the nastiness. But I didn't know little complexities in the actual story. I came away from this really angry with a feeling of that certain things contributed to him getting away with this for so long. One of those was racism and another of those was homophobia. Police just seemed to be really uncomfortable around the notion of an outwardly gay man talking about his relationship with his boyfriend, and it seemed they couldn't wait to get away. And they didn't investigate things like they should have done in a thorough manner because they were uncomfortable. This was he carried out his crimes between 78 and 91. And the fact that there was a lady that tried to stop him. There was a lady that, had she been listened to, 5 people would have survived that otherwise were victims of Dahmer. And I didn't know her story, and I was blown away by how much she tried and how much she was not listened to. This was an excellent series. I know a lot of people think it's a bit too much. Obviously I come from a love of horror, so it's going to take a lot to really make me switch something off. I'm already disgusted by Dahmer and what he did. They couldn't really do this without being how they were, without actually showing people the monster that he was. How he tried in the end to have some form of, forgiveness. He was baptized, and how he eventually met his end, which delighted me, to be quite honest. I'm that kind of person. But yeah, Evan Peters is incredible. Now, I found myself when I'm watching it having to go and remind myself of interviews with Dahmer, which I did. And he was spot on. Dahmer was such a boring, just when he talked, it was just such a boring individual. He had no spark, he had no life luster, there was just nothing. And Evan Peters just conveys it fantastically. Similarly to if you're in the UK and you watched David Tennant play Nielsen, he nailed that. He was incredible. And just in the same way, Evan Peters as Dahmer, he nailed it 100%. The guy is an amazing actor. I can't wait to follow his career and see what he does next. But the whole cast were fantastic. The program, the high quality of this program. People are saying it's sick, don't watch it, it's twisted, it's too much, it's exploitative. I don't feel that it is exploitative because we don't watch, people seem to think we're going to see murders in intricate detail and just stuff that's horrendous, and they don't go into massive detail like that at all. It's not as gory as everyone's trying to say. They don't pull any punches with what happens to Dahmer at the end, which is good. But they get into things like Glenda Cleveland's story. They get into situations with the family, with his dad, who wrote a book about it afterwards. An individual actually purchased all of the stuff that was related to Dahmer. I didn't know this. He was so sickened at the idea of all of these possessions of Dahmer's going to auction for people to own that he personally bought all of it of Dahmer's so that no one would be able to get the item and keep it, and he had everything destroyed. And he contributed so much money to every individual family of the victims. I think it was about $32,000 each. But there was little bits and bobs of information like that I wasn't aware of. Things to do with the police, which we don't hear a lot about. So although we do follow Dahmer, we follow his childhood growing up, his personality, we also follow his dad, we follow people that he met in clubs, we follow other people in clubs with him at the same time. We more follow how he got the victims to where he got them than the grittiness of what happens. Although there obviously is some extremely disturbing scenes in this program, I do not feel that it's exploitative on behalf of the victims. I feel that it just really conveys the monster that he was and information that's been left out. I think other things try to glorify the physical acts that he carried out, and we hear very much about what he did and how he did it. We don't hear all the rest of the stuff that makes up this story. And as I say, with such a high interest as I have in true crime and stuff like that, I did not know about Glenda Cleveland, and that coming away from the programme, I'm just determined that as many people as I can tell about Glenda Cleveland, I'm going to tell. So yes, this is what I've watched this week, guys. I'm still playing Assassin's Creed. I've actually purchased the last, you know the way you get add-ons? I've had all the add-ons bar one, which was Dawn of Ragnarok, which was I think about £36, but it was reduced to half price recently, and I managed to pick it up, so I'm going through that add-on at the moment. So happy days, new Assassin's Creed gameplay for me. So guys, that is what's going on at the moment. I can't think, I will have a video coming up in October. I've managed to get tickets for like a Fright Night exclusive showing of Poltergeist followed by The Thing, which I'm really excited about. Poltergeist has always been one of my favourite movies. To get to see it on a big screen, I'm so excited, I cannot tell you. So yep, that's what's going on, folks. At the minute I'm toying with the idea of potentially doing something in October, but not around movies, more around like creepy stories, creepy pictures. I don't exactly know what will happen. I doubt it will be one every day, but let me know if you think I should do like some sort of creepy stories for the month of October. And thank you so much for watching, guys. I shall catch up with you all next week for another What I Watched. Over and out from Lisa Lives.